Hi, I'm Dr. Karen Hills Pruden, and I am so excited, Sister Leaders community, because I say it every time, and I know you don't believe me. I have a treat for you. So I have with me Crystal of the Veganish Kitchen. And Crystal, tell the Sister Leaders community how wonderful you are and what you're doing in this space called life.
Hi, everybody. I am Crystal of the Veganish Kitchen, and the Veganish Kitchen is an online platform that is all about whole health. It's about whole body health. It's the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual part of it, because you can't have one without the other and to be considered whole health. And so I focus the most on the food part. So it's the vegan-ish kitchen, but the ish is the grace. That's that spiritual part where you offer yourself grace because it's about the journey. It's not about the end result. So it's about just being healthy, a whole healthy person. And I like to promote it more in the fashion of family. Um, and for me, I feel like the parents, especially the woman who does a lot of the cooking in the home, typically, um, I promote a lot to females in that regard because of the self-care aspect of it and preparing meals for your family or getting your children or your significant other in the kitchen and preparing meals with you as well. It all contributes to a whole healthy family. So that's
I
me.
love that. I love that. So, Crystal, a lot of times people find their purpose and their passion out of pain. So, tell me, how did you discover that this was your lane of brilliance, that this is the lane that you wanted to put forth your talents in this big world?
Oh, and they're always long stories, right? So I'll make mine short. So, the Veganish Kitchen came about really out of it was it was really out of searching for my son. He was diagnosed with ADHD, and I didn't want to accept that, and I didn't want to put him on any kind of medication. So I felt like the best way to go about um, helping my son was to introduce healthier foods for him. And it really was never about going vegan, it was just about eating healthy. And to be honest, that's what I discovered along that journey, even calling it the Veganish Kitchen. I keep the ish on there just because being vegan does not make you healthier than someone that's not vegan. It's about your food choices and because the Oreos are vegan. And so if just because you eat a whole diet of vegan Oreos does not make you a healthy person.
Well, it's nice to know that Oreos are vegan, though.
Yes, exactly. It is nice to know that. But if you fill your diet up with just a vegan food because it has no meat in it, doesn't make you healthier than someone that does eat healthier options and includes meat in their diet. So that issues that grace. If you don't want to give up meat, it doesn't have to be a full give up thing. It's just about introducing healthier foods into your lifestyle, and they don't always have to include meat, but they should include something that's a little healthier.
Absolutely. And you actually kind of stepped on my toe a little bit because I don't eat a whole lot of meat. I eat quite a bit of seafood, but not a whole lot of like meat. I call it meat, like your beef and different
Yes.
things like that. And my doctor ran some tests and I was protein deficient because I don't eat a whole lot of meat. So I'm trying to increase my protein in other foods because I don't
Yes.
eat a whole lot of meat. Because if you don't keep your protein at a certain level, if you're losing weight and I'm on a weight loss journey, you'll start losing muscle instead of
Yes.
losing fat. And so
Exactly.
I'm looking for alternatives other than meat to sustain my protein intake as I'm on this weight loss journey. So when you were talking, I just realized, well, Karen, you know a little bit about this just based on
Mhm.
your weight loss journey
Yes.
and your struggles with meat and not eating enough and protein and different things like that. And so I always get excited when I know a little bit because I'm a lifetime learner. I love to
Same
learn. I
here.
can learn from everybody.
Exactly.
So this is Women's History Month, and so I identified you because you're one of those boss babes in my network, and I wanted the world to know how wonderful you are. So tell me about the women in your life, specifically two women, if you could name for the Sister Leaders community, who may have motivated you, who may have inspired you, who may have helped shape you into the crystal that you are right now, and tell me why they are all those wonderful things.
Well, I can name probably so many women out there because a lot have contributed to the version of me that you see today. However, I think I'll stick with my mom because she was the first woman in my life, and my sister, and she was probably the second woman, I'm assuming, because I'm the youngest. So, so my mom, it's about her, her strength, her vitality, and her patience. She's just she's just got such a zest for life. She's so young at heart and very strong woman, but also so patient, just how she is with my children and, her grandchildren, all of them. And just with other people, like she's just a really patient woman. And I think those are all great qualities to have in, just being a human being, whether you're male or female, but
Absolutely.
yes. And then my sister, she motivates me because of her community she's so community oriented. Everything she does, it stems from what's going to help the community at large. And she, like right now, she's running for school board, and it's so that I know it's amazing because she's
Mm-hmm.
in a predominantly white school district, and she's running for a board because she wants to be the voice for those minority children that don't have a voice, that people don't understand their behaviors, when there's really nothing wrong with their behaviors. It's just not something that is in line with what they're used to in their own households, because different cultures interact with each other in a different manner. And
Absolutely.
so that she motivates me in that way, because that's not even, she's done other things in her community at large that are just like, they're just so motivating. It's just like, this is who you want to be. You want to be about your community, because helping others is probably one of the most important things you can do. Like, keeping it all for yourself, it's great to do it for your family, but getting out there and helping other families that may not have had someone there to support them or had the same type of upbringing that me and her had as children, it just makes a difference. And so she's another person I look up to, and I am motivated by.
Absolutely. Definitely. They say those that are first examples are usually in our home.
Hmm.
And that's for positive and sometimes not so positive.
Right.
uh, so I definitely can understand that. And so, just like you were mentioning your sister running for school board, we as women, we usually wear more than one hat.
Hmm.
We may be wife, we may be mother, we may be business person, we may be Sister Crystal or Sister Karen in the church, entrepreneurs. And some research talk about the qualities of a woman versus the quality of a man. And sometimes they like to describe us as the softer side of the genders.
Hmm.
We're compassionate, we're empathetic, we're caring, we're feelers, we're emotional. And then they don't use those same words to describe the men. They use men in a positive way. They'll say they're decisive and they're strong and all of these different things. But I believe that a woman who holds multiple roles can embody all of those things.
Hmm.
Can be decisive, can be a business person, can be Miss Corporate America, and can also be the sweet, compassionate mom, girlfriend, wife, grandmother, of some of the various roles that we have. And so, talk to me about your feelings of, can a woman embody all of those things?
I do believe a woman can embody all those things and be considered a leader in her field, because I think ultimately it's about playing to your strengths. So if your strength is compassion, then you're going to draw in more people with that strength, the strength that you have, rather than trying to be someone or something that you're not, because people can recognize inauthenticity. So I definitely feel like women, it's actually strength in compassion, it's strength in nurturing, it's strength in vulnerability. There's a lot of strength there. And some of my, some of the people that I find to be some of the best leaders are women. And they held all of those. And sometimes when you see someone that doesn't hold those qualities, it does feel a little off, like, that's interesting, that you aren't you're not coming in a more of a compassionate, empathetic way, and you are being really strong. But sometimes that's how we feel, like we have to do that in order to move up. But I feel like the more authentic you are, no one can stop you when you're just being your authentic self and you're playing on your own strengths, what your personal strengths are.
Absolutely. And I'm a number of things. One of my hats that I hold for my consulting business is I am a female senior leadership coach. And so most of most of the positions in senior leadership are predominantly men. Even in those industries that are predominantly women, when you get to the top positions in the industry, it is held by men. And as I coach female middle managers who are interested in seeking senior leadership positions, I encourage them to continue to be a woman in their walk. I even wrote a book, and one of my chapters in my book is "You are not one of the boys." That you can continue to act as a woman, whatever, however that is. I'm not saying this any particular way, but you don't have to mirror the men and how they behave just to get in a predominantly male profession. So I think that there are some benefits to authenticity, which you mentioned, someone being authentic to themselves. I'm a very quiet person for the most part, I'm quiet. I'm an introvert who can click a switch when I need to be an extrovert,
Right.
so, but people do not view that as a weakness. So what I learned in life, because when I was young as a child, before I came into my own, people thought that because I was quiet, I was weak.
Yes.
And I was not. It was
Exactly.
I just wasn't a very talkative person. And people said she will grow out of it. I never grew out of it. It's just that I turn it on and turn it off. I prefer not to be the loudest person in the room. However, when you're talking about something that is passionate to me, when you're touching into my passionate points, I can be very extrovertish, if it's a such word,
It is
so that
today.
you will hear my opinion, or if I need to champion on behalf of someone else. And so I learned, because I am in the C-suite and I have been for over a decade, which is predominantly men. I learned that have value when you open your mouth. You don't always have to be the loudest person in the room as a woman, even though you are a minority. You don't always have to prove yourself. Don't feel like you're there.
Yeah.
One of the things that women who get into senior leadership positions, they forget, chick, you there. You made it. So you don't have to prove to them that you belong there because you're already there. And so relax and be who you are. Or as you said, be authentic to whoever you are. And in my case, me being authentic is I don't even have to have an opinion all of the time. And some people don't know how to take that. They'll say, well, Karen, what do you think? Because I haven't said anything. I don't believe I have to weigh in at all times. I prefer to hear what other people have to say. And so my thing is women in leadership. Let's talk about young Crystal and young Karen. So gonna throw you for a loop here because I didn't give you this ahead of time. So tell me, what profession, if any, did you claim was going to be your profession when you were a young Crystal? And maybe you're working that dream profession?
Okay, well, Depends on how, far back, but I remember one of the first, you know what, I had so many things I always wanted to do when I was younger, but I think one of the first things that I wanted to do was be a lawyer. That was one, so I'm not a lawyer.
Okay, okay. And so tell me, what do you remember what made you pivot from being the thought of being a lawyer?
What made me pivot was when I took a class in high school home called home economics. I don't even think they have that anymore. Um,
Yeah, I took it too. I sewed a awful zipper in a pair of pants and I just let it go.
oh, well, my experience was a little different. I made a robe and then I never stopped. I just kept making and making. I kept making clothes after clothes. And I went to school for fashion merchandising, which I'm not in that either.
Well, we evolve. You know,
We
we
do.
evolve so we could have, and I like to tell, I speak to young people a lot, young ladies. I call them sister leaders in the making. Um, you're gonna evolve, and it's interesting that you said a lawyer because I, from a very young age, wanted to be a lawyer.
Mhm.
I got all the way to law school.
Oh.
Yep. All the way to law school. I'm very goal oriented. And
Mhm.
so I was in my early 30s. I went ahead and went to law school after getting my master's in something else.
Mhm.
Human resource management is what my master's is. But I that one goal that I did not accomplish, which was going to law school, I hadn't attained at that moment. So I went ahead and got in law school. By that time in my life, I was already in leadership and human resources. And so
Mhm.
I realized when I got in law school that someone asked me the question, are you going to practice law? And I was like, no. So I was actually just checking off a box. You
Yes.
know, someone had mentioned to me, and I had said that I was going to be a lawyer since a very young age.
Mhm.
And I was just kind of following the blueprint
Mhm.
of accomplishing my goals. And that was the last goal. And so once I realized that I no longer wanted to be a lawyer, I switched and got my doctorate in management and organizational leadership.
Okay,
So
here we
took
go.
a totally different path, and it was more relevant to my career in human resources. But we do evolve. You know, I
Exactly.
happened to get all the way to law school, and even though I had a career in HR, I still went to law school knowing that
Yeah.
I didn't want to be a full-time lawyer, which is ludicrous. As in the voice of Kevin Hart, make it make sense. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Mhm.
But I do also know that as we are young children and we're good at things, the people around us can um, help convince us that we should go into certain industries just
Yeah.
because we may have said that we wanted to be in that industry, not knowing much about that industry at all. Because I
Exactly.
think I was in kindergarten when I said I wanted to be a lawyer. You know, so I didn't know much about it other than I saw people carrying briefcases and maybe what I
Exactly.
saw on television. But my family helped encourage that, and then I was good in school. And so I learned the impact of family, friends, and relatives, and the impact that we have on how children evolve when it comes to their careers. And you know, my story turned out okay because I still have a fulfilling career in human resources, even though I only did 2 years in law school, and before I graduated, I decided, nope, don't want to do this. But others have a whole lifetime of being in a career that somebody else mapped out for them,
Exactly.
you know, and so it doesn't work out so well. And so let's talk about, because we have a few minutes here, let's talk about female leaders,
Mhm.
past, because we talked about the present and who has an impact on you. Can
Mhm.
you name a female leader of the past or a high visibility female leader of the present who you admire, and tell me why?
Let me see. Someone from the past. Um, I feel like the one that kind of comes to mind is my college dean. Well, she later became the dean of my department. at Alabama A&M. Her name was Cynthia Smith, Dr. Cynthia Smith. And she was just, I don't know what it was about her, but she was just, I just admired her so much. She just had this poise about her and just drive. And it was just, I still think about her, and I still, obviously I just want like, I wonder what she's doing. I wonder, and did she, if I talk to her now, how she would feel about the things I'm doing now. since
Ah.
since I did not continue on with my degree. I graduated with it, but I didn't use it.
Mhm, mhm.
And so, yeah, I would say it would have to be my dean, or former, for my alma mater. And maybe for the present, the first name that comes to mind is Michelle Obama. I mean, I think that's an easy one for so many people, especially after
Yes.
the book she wrote.
Yes, her name has come up a lot in this Women's History Month series.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's lots of women out there. I'm not going to say that there's not a lot. There are a lot of women out there to be proud of, and to feel like, wow, that's who I want to be when I grow up. But she had the way she holds her own and how relatable she is. She just makes you feel like, she makes me feel like being my authentic self is the best way to go about life. Like, she like confirms it for me. And so I think that that's how she, I feel like that's how she led, was just like, I'm going to be authentic in my role as first lady. And you like it, you don't like it, that's on you, but I'm going to still be that. And so it just gave us all that permission to do the same, to be authentic, to, love ourselves exactly how we are, and move forward in it.
I love that. And I too, I certainly, she's definitely one of the modern day women that I admire. And I have more admiration for her second book than I do for her first book. And because now she talks about, I'll say, how she played the game is
Mm,
how she talks about. She talks about how, not that she couldn't be, her and her daughters couldn't be their authentic self in the White House, because she was always her authentic self. But there were certain things that they did not do, understanding that they represented a whole race of
yes.
individuals. Her last interview that I saw, I think I saw it last week, I'm not sure when it was. She talks about how, the pressure of, her daughters, they couldn't make certain mistakes because the mistakes that they would make would be
Yes.
representative of the whole Black culture, because they were the first. She was
Yes.
talking about the pressure of being the first African American in any particular role, especially a high visibility role. And through watching her, even though I admired her before then, I think about her because I am in senior leadership, and trying to tell those who want to be in senior leadership, just because you learn how to play the game, is certain things that you don't do because you're in this high visibility role. It
Hmm.
doesn't mean you're not keeping it real.
Yeah. Yes,
you
exactly.
know and that is the lesson that I learned from the interviews that she's doing with her second book now, because she's talking about how they had to act a certain way because they were the first, and
Yeah.
the strength and the pressure that was on them to not let a whole race of people down. I attributed that to being in like corporate America, where
Hmm.
you're the first Black senior leader in a company that's never had a Black senior leader and a female.
Yes.
Because if you mess it up, they're not going to let another one through anytime soon. You better believe that. And those type of pressures. And I was like, I like that she said that, because in any where you're working for someone else, there are certain rules. If it's not your company, there are
Hmm.
certain rules that you still have to play by, and that's still part of keeping it real.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
still part of keeping it real. The young folks will say, well, you're not keeping it real. Well, you're not keeping it real if you don't play by the already established rules that is going to hurt your career,
Hmm. Yeah.
type thing. And so, yeah, so I love her, but I really love the second book, Michelle Obama, because she's telling all this stuff now, and she's really talking from the heart. And as a senior leadership coach, it lets people know that you can still play by the rules if you want to
Yeah.
be in a space and still be authentic.
Yes.
Still be authentic. So that's what I like about her. But yeah, Michelle, I can't even think of anybody who haven't mentioned Michelle Obama's name in this series. So she is definitely well loved, well loved. So I would like you, as we are wrapping up this interview, to share with the Sister Leaders community, if you have anything coming up or whatever it is that you want to share, if you want them to stay in contact with you, support a charity or whatever it is, just share with them what it is you want them to know. And if you want them to stay in contact with you, tell them on what methodology that you want them to connect with you, so that we can support, because we truly support sister leaders.
Okay, well, great. Well, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook. So you can find me there, the Veganish Kitchen, on TikTok and in on Facebook. And then on Instagram, it's the underscore Veganish Kitchen. And and I'm also on YouTube as well as the Veganish Kitchen. So you can find me on all those platforms, and coming soon. There's lots of things coming soon, but I want to announce those as they come. So
Okay.
I won't say it at this moment,
Okay.
but they're
So they could just
coming soon.
connect with her so you can be in the know, sister leaders. Connect with
Yes,
her so you'll be one of the first to know.
exactly. Yes, definitely. And if you would like to support my sister, because like I said, she is running right now, and campaigns can get a little expensive. So you can go to my Instagram and find a link for where, if you would like to contribute, you can. And that way, her campaign can be heard, and she can get in there and be the support and the voice for the minority children that are in that school district, because it's a big one. So there we go.
Awesome, awesome. So you've heard that, sister leaders community. And so this has been another wonderful interview. I know some of the bomb people. They're the bomb.com people. And so we are excited to have the Veganist Kitchen Crystal here on the Sister Leaders channels on all of our social media. And so I would like to introduce myself in case you came in mid-interview. I am Dr. Karen Hills Pruden. I am the CEO and founder of the Sister Leaders Community, Sister Leaders Academy, and Sister Leaders Conference. And the Sister Leaders Conference is this year, October 27th and 28th. And Sister Leaders, don't let the name fool you. We are a community of men and women leaders who support more women in leadership, senior leadership. And if you want to know, well, why you let the fellas in? They have all of the fun. Well, we need the fellas because they're the ones who are in the majority of the positions. So we need them to speak our names in those rooms that we haven't had access to yet. And so that's why we want the fellas, and they're good ambassadors. They're good ambassadors to having an entrepreneurial space as well as in corporate America. And so we are a community of men and women who support the numbers of more women in senior leadership. And we're not just for acquisition. So we just don't want women to get the role. We want them to be able to sustain the role for as long as they want to sustain their position in senior leadership, whether they're working for themselves or working for someone else in corporate America. And so I specifically work with female middle managers who are interested in running their own business or being in senior leadership in corporate America. And I help them navigate the employment recruitment process on how to articulate their successes and leading people, leading change using technology and analytics. And so if you don't like numbers, then you need to call me, because you cannot be in senior leadership if you do not like numbers, because we're talking about what's going to happen 3 to 5 years down the road. Managers deal with day to day, leaders deal with 3 to 5 years down the road. And so I am Dr. Karen Hills Pruden, and this has been another wonderful interview for the Women's History Month series. Bye.
Bye.